What is good, everybody? Welcome to Unfair Sports, where we're talking OU football, college football, and sports in general. We got my main man Coop here once again, and we're going to talk to you all about all of these recruits that pulled up for this BEDLAM domination, and we're starting to see the fruits of those labors already hit. Ashton Champ Sanders has committed. Then Taylor Wine followed right behind him. So Champ committed on Sunday. Taylor Wine today. We got videos up on the channel. Go check those out. Talk a little bit about it. But I want to get Coop's thoughts on them, as well as that long list of additional players and rumors we've got down the middle. So, Coop, what's going on, man? How'd you feel about not only the list, but those players that decided that, you know what, after Bedlam, I'm in?
Yeah, so what I like about this situation is you've got guys. Brent Venables went out and he challenged his staff to go relook at some of these people. Go look at some of these guys who may be 6'1", 235 at the, early in their junior year. We've looked at them. We kicked the can a little bit and kicked the tires. And then now go back and check them out, because there are programs like Utah, and there are programs like Oklahoma State, for instance, Cincinnati, that they go and they find these guys. You're like, why can't we ever find these guys?
Mm-hmm.
And so Brent made the challenge, and he said, take a second look at these people. So Ashton Champ Sanders, an early enrollee, by the way.
I saw that.
6'2", 300-pound man out of LA. And what did I just say? He had offers from Utah, Notre Dame, Washington, Wisconsin. So this is a guy who is, I think this is a replacement for us missing out on McDonald. He is coming on in. He is going to get that Schmitty treatment, and we're going to start working on him. I do not think that this is we got to have somebody take. I think this is an aggressive take that we take regardless.
Right.
Now, are we in on him if we get McDonald? I don't know. I can't know. I can't say that. So Taylor Wine, do you want to talk about Ashton first?
No, let's keep the Ashton Champ Sanders talk. And so in my video when I talked about him, the biggest thing I like about him is that you can tell you got that dog in him. And that picture we talked about this a while back in another video. We were just talking about the offers and stuff, and just seeing him stand at that line and saying that you got to get through me first if you want this 1 yard. I'm just like, mm-hmm. that's beastly. That you care. I like guys that care. And just like you said, when you see these players at these other schools, I mean, perfect example. I hate to do this comparison, while at the same time, it's something for everybody to think about. Player like Aaron Donald or even Kenneth Murray, they were 3-star players. They were players that weren't not too many people were looking at or paying attention to. They ended up, of course, being first-round draft picks, but they also became monsters on the football field for their respective schools. And that's what you got to look for. So like you said, Venables told them, hey, go give some of these guys a second look. Go really look for the intangibles, the work ethic, things that you want. Because the hardest thing to figure out and predict is truly work ethic. Like Josh Allen is probably my favorite guy that did something that is completely exception outside of the rule. Josh Allen is the first quarterback, I promise you, in NFL history to overcome really bad ability and become a beast of a thrower in accuracy and just throwing in general. He had all the physical pieces. He just could never put it together in college. Couldn't put together the first 2 years of the season. But then he worked on it. He got over his ego. Remember, all these players that are playing football at this level and then go to the pros, they have to have an ego. If you ain't got an ego, then you ain't good. You've got to think that you're better than everybody else, because you got to go out there and be better than everybody else. Overcame his own ego and said, no, I don't need to do it my way, I need to do it somebody else's way, and got better. That's what you got to see out of these recruits that we're going to get. Now, if you look at it, we're not bringing in 2-star guys, really. I mean, we've only got really one unranked guy right now in Marcus Strong that we offered. And honestly, I think he's going to end up being a 3 or low 4-star once he actually gets really evaluated, because there's so many kids that play. There's hundreds of thousands that play. You can't get all of them.
Yeah.
You get those players in, and you see that they work hard, and they're going to do it to get better. You can go to the league. A lot of your best NFL players were not 5 stars. So that's the crazy part, right? So I love it about him. And so let's talk about Wine. Whew. You were hyped about him when we talked about him last time.
Yeah.
He got your attention.
This is a guy who's 6'5". I don't care if it's Schmitty, Rob Glass, whoever. You can't coach that. That's 6'5". You got to be that. It's 245 pounds today. And so, again, this is strong side defensive end out of Nolensville, Tennessee. He's got a USC offer that happened slightly after we offered him. Cincinnati, Oklahoma State. And again, this one in my notes I wrote down, this is that Brent challenge right here. But he is a guy that's off the edge, that he is going to be able to come in knowing that he went from having the opportunity to go to, maybe a group of 5, or a lower Power 5 team. And he is going to have some dudes sitting next to him. He's not going to have the spotlight. He's just going to get a chance to go to work. Because he's coming in with some, between PJ Adebawore, LeBlanc, and people we'll talk about here in a few minutes. And so he's going to have his chance to come in and to make his impact. We're going to see a long and NFL body. These are dudes who get off the bus. These are dudes that when you are watching them do their workouts, even before they're ready to play, if you're the other team, say that we go up against UTEP and they see a 6'5", 260-pound defensive end over there and be like, who is that one? So that's one of the freshmen. He ain't even playing yet. What are you going to do at that point? So I'm jacked up about him. I think that he will. I don't know if he's going to be an early enrollee off the top of my head, but the more of those guys, the better.
I haven't seen on that one. That's the one I'm curious about. I'm wondering if he's going to be an early enrollee. Having Champ come in from LA with Jackson Arnold as an early enrollee. Woo. I think a lot of these players will probably try to come in the spring because, as we talked about before, even when the defense wasn't looking very good, the recruits weren't saying, oh, I don't want to go play for that bad defense. They were like, oh, I can go start. Yeah. I can go take somebody's job. And so they want to come in early so they try to take jobs. And imagine what that's going to look like. Spring ball is going to be so much fun. So let's look at this recruiting list. Let's look at this impressive visitor list. And so shout out to Parker Thune and Brandon Drum over there at 24/7 and all the other recruiters on all the other sites. I follow 24/7 the most. And they, of course, assembled this massive list of kids that's going to be in town. I mean, like, it's impressive. So, we talked about this before, and it's funny, when we recorded later that night, they put out a list of who's actually coming. I'm like, God, y'all couldn't have waited. Like, y'all could have put that out earlier, but they put it out Thursday night. And so I released the video Thursday morning. Of course, your officials were really only David Hicks, Damian Sanford, which that's still surprising me that he's actually an official visit. That tells me a lot about his thoughts on potentially coming. And then Ashton Sanders. The rest of them were all unofficials. You had we've got a whole bunch of our commits, but these are the ones that were not us. Peyton Bowen, in which Jackson Arnold's been recruiting him like crazy. You've got Kendall Dolby, the JUCO that we offered, talked about him before. Taylor Wine, who's already committed. 3-star defensive back Devin Robinson, who's a Tulsa commit. We went ahead and he pulled up. And then a lot of 24 guys and 25 from Smith to David Stone, Dax Collins, who's a local one, which is Pate brother. And Stacy Gage pulled up. I want Stacy to commit here. I just want him to play because of his name. Stacy Gage just sounds like a running back. Doesn't it? It just sounds like an NFL running back. Stacy Gage. And then we had a few surprises. And this is one recruit we talked about. And then we can go through. You can tell me who who jumped out to you the most and what got you the most excited. But I saw that was it Etta from he's a Michigan commit out of Texas. He pulled up. Supposedly he enjoyed himself.
Yes.
As well as Jordan Allen, the Kansas State defensive end commit. He pulled up as well. Whew. Talked about this before. I'm going to put a video out a little bit later, probably later this week, right before Thanksgiving, about how this class, Venables and them is focused on the defense. They want Sooner fans to be proud of this defense. Coop, what jumped out to you about all those players I named, plus the ones that I couldn't even get to?
So number one is David Stone is another guy out of ING. He is going to be a 5-star consensus. There's rumors
Local.
that he is now. So he's from Oklahoma. So there's rumors that he is going to be moving back home. He's feeling a little homesick. He's got the IMG. He just turned 17 a couple of days ago. And I believe I was listening to Gabe and Teddy's podcast, and they were saying he was saying that he walked out. Gabe was walking out on the field, and he saw Stacey Gage and David Hicks standing next to each other, and he was like, "Oh my God." He's like, "Can you guys come play right now?" And again, that's I do my best not to tweet at recruits, but that's one of the things. When he said "Happy birthday," I say, "Hey, young buddy, reclassified. Let's go. Let's come on in." They got 20 class of 25, Dejon Petaway, which is the cousin of Jaquez Petaway. He is another guy that plays with Pato. Is where David Hicks and
Sanford, Damian Sanford, yeah.
And so they're making. We're starting to build something there.
It's true.
There is.
Before you continue, real quick, David Hicks, and I heard and Jaquez Petaway, and the other Petaway, they're cousins.
Yeah.
If we can get them all together, oh my God. Come play with your family. Yeah. Petaway's here. He's coming. He's going to pull up. Do it. Continue.
Yeah. Not too bad. But I do want to touch on this is obviously to play that defensive game on that stage with those recruits there and with our team hanging out in our student section and our fans staying there for the entire game. It was cold. It was not easy. Some fan bases want to roll out and say, "Hey, it's a little cold and rainy, but we ain't about it. We're going to leave." Hashtag go check out A&M this weekend. And but here's one thing I want to throw out is there's a lot of crystal balls being thrown at Peyton Bowen. Peyton Bowen was seen hanging out and talking out with Heath Ozeta, which is our offensive lineman commit. Ozeta has the same situation. His mom was really, really into the educational piece at Stanford and really was pushing for Heath to go to Stanford. Peyton Bowen's mom has kind of the same situation of wanting to go to Notre Dame because of the education. But the rumor is that Peyton is the one that's pushing to go to OU. Plus, has got a girlfriend there, right? Who's coming to OU. And
they're undefeated.
She just committed. Yeah, she just committed and signed here last week. So here's what I'm saying is when you have a recruit committed to a school already, their crystal balls and all those situations, forecasts are kind of not really, you can't do it. But I know that Nick Harris and Josh McQuistion, both out of Rivals, both of these guys said if they could do it, they would. So I expect Peyton Bowen here pretty quickly. Now,
there's a Josh Scoop
on that.
Yeah, say Josh Scoop. Shout out to the covered wagon recruiting at OU Crystal Ball on Twitter. They do a really good job of posting all that stuff and keeping you up to date as it comes through. And so I did see that at Josh underscore Scoop. So Josh with Rivals had put a crystal ball out and saying he basically said we can't do a future cast because he's already committed, but I see him signing with Oklahoma. I see him flipping. Yeah. And no one's immune to flipping. Understand this. We lost Colton Vasek and everybody flipped out and lost their lives. And we reminded y'all, hey, there's going to probably be a 10% turnover on these kids that have committed that's going to decommit. So you're going to lose at least 2, if not 3. They're going to go ahead and flip and go to a different school. It happens. So we lost Caleb Spencer and we lost Colton Vasek, and that may actually be better for us because if we lose those 2 and we gain David Hicks as well as Damian Sanford, and then Peyton Bowen comes in, we're winning. That's a win.
Yeah.
Like, but I if there's anybody that I believe that will probably end up here, I think it's Peyton Bowen. Not only the girlfriend portion of it, but Jackson Arnold, I know, has been on him hard and said, "Hey, man, we can ride up and down back with each other. If you go early, there's a good chance you can start. I mean, because we're going to lose a lot of players in the secondary. So there's a good chance that he could get a lot of action young. We still got a lot of young players like Gentry Williams and Robert Spears Jennings that's going to get a lot of game next year. But having those guys as their backups to come in, him and Makari Vickers, could you imagine Seatbelt Vickers and Peyton Bowen out there at the secondary together?
I think we have a pretty decent safety out there already too. So
even with Bowman, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm saying that I'm not saying in replacing him. I'm just saying imagine those 2 because Bowman, by the time Bowman will be a junior next year, if he continues at the trajectory he's at, he'll be gone. That next year it'll be Vickers as well as Peyton Bowen together. So you'll have Seatbelt and Bowen playing your safeties. I'm stoked.
Have you been watching any of the Jackson Arnold and the Bowen brothers and Yates? Have you been watching any of these games? Because Bowen, again, game after game, he had a 100-yard interception return, which was I think that Denton Guyer was up 14-0, and they were coming into the other team was coming in to score. He picks it. Now it's 21 game, or no, it's a 14-point lead. But anyway, instead of it being a 7-point lead, it's now a 21-point lead. Game's pretty much over, right? And he's got to do it for his dog. That way, then Jackson Arnold could just turn around and hand the ball off, run the clock out. So that is a big get. And the other one is Hicks. And the word around Hicks, and I kind of wrote this down, and I'm paraphrasing because obviously, when you pay for content, you don't ever want to plagiarize it and act like it's your own. But the comments around it was that from a very close source that OU answered as many questions and showed everything that they needed to show to Bowen and Hicks. Hicks has visited Texas A&M twice, once in January, once in June. There's rumor of a visit showing out there in December 6th or 16th. But so somebody put that out there, but I just don't see it. I don't see it continuing to happen. He's seen everything he needs to see. If it's truly a game of who's got the biggest NIL package, that kind of makes me really feel like, I'd rather have guys like Ashton Sanders. But I really feel like we may have to hold on. We're a month away from the early signing period, and I'd like to see Hicks just sign and get it over with.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And so based upon some of the information that's trickled my direction, reading through some of, like I said, Brandon Drum over 24/7 does a fantastic job. Him and Parker Thune. I love how they try to be straight up with everybody. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I don't think we see anything from Hicks or Sanford until National Signing Day. I think that those 2 will, if Oklahoma win, it'll be then. I think that Peyton Bowen will probably be closer to the early signing day here in December. I can see him coming early. And then there's another dark horse that I'm hearing a lot of rumbling about, and there's a lot of, I think, momentum of him coming this direction. And he's currently committed to, I guess that's considered a bitter rival of us right now. It's more bitter than anything. I don't have an issue with them, but a lot of y'all do, and that's USC. There's a player there potentially that could flip. We'll see if it happens. I want it to, but, it's not that big of a deal. But I think those guys, really the real big first, the ones that we really want to get our hands on. I don't think we. I think we hear and see all of that in January, probably after the Under Armour All American game, in which that was when David Hicks was going to do his announcement anyway.
Yeah.
To me, makes the most sense for him to just go do it at that point. Like, just you know what, made my commitment or I moved my date up, did my commitment, was excited, thought this is where I wanted, but then I realized no, it's not what I want. Because of
Yeah.
that, decided to change my location. Go ahead and flip, and I'm going to be a Sooner. And so because of that, I'm not going to be overly hyped about a lot of these guys, but I do think there's a really good chance of winning all three of those high profile players. I do.
Yeah.
So on that, who do you think's next up on the list for us to win?
Oh, I think we might see Dolby pull the trigger. That
That's what
might
I was
be the
thinking
one
too.
that's Kendall Dolby, 5'11", 180 pounds. This is a guy that when we watch the film, he's a thumper. Go watch it if you have not. He's a good guy. I don't know if it's a nickel or if it's corner, but again, he is a guy who is going to come with some thunder. He's got offers from Washington, Houston, Arkansas. So again, Washington's been putting some defensive backs in the league. They've been doing well on defense. Arkansas, Sam Pittman's doing a great job out there. He's probably my next one. I would have to say perhaps a dark horse might be a 24 guy.
Interesting. I think next on the list, I agree with you. I think it's Kendall Dolby will probably be the next one to go ahead and make that commitment. I'm really hoping that is Tassili Akana. I'm hearing that we still do lead with him, but I have not heard any type of definitives on when and where he's going to do his commitment. But us having the lead warms my heart a lot. That's like, yes, yes, yes. Gets me excited. Because he's going to be another edge linebacker that would be a great feel for what we're trying to do on the defensive side. Get us that depth, especially that depth of players to not only play, but depth of players to train. Scout team. Your scout team's tough. That means your game team's going to be tough. And that's what you got to have in order to honestly have this type of offense we're going to run, especially once, Gabriel will be back next year. I don't see Dylan Gabriel leaving. But unless they tell him, hey, you could probably get a second round, I don't see him going that high. But that I don't see Dylan Gabriel leaving. But when Jackson Arnold really gets this offense going in 2 years, or Nick Evers, if Nick Evers sticks around and it's over, because my thing with Jackson, I think Jackson Arnold can potentially be our Trevor Lawrence. Kind of like how Clemson had him as a freshman. They knew that he was really good, but they wanted to wait. They played Kelly Bryant and said, nah, put the young guy in. And he goes and wins him a national championship. I can see that. I'm curious to what that room's going to look like later. So we have to talk about that at another time. So if we get a flip, who do you think is the most likely to flip here in December? If we get a December flip.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go ahead and say this now because I just don't see why he made that trip. He made it secretly, and then when he threw some names around, but it's the Eno kid out of Michigan. Because I'm counting Bowen as ours already. I'm not throwing him in there, but I think Etta is a guy that again we said at with Taylor Wine 6'5", 245. Let's just throw Ed out here at 6'5", 260.
Oh,
Again, I talk about length all the time. Is when you got length and you also get up. Ed watched a little bit of his film. I don't know if he's being recruited over. I don't know if they're messing with the apple cart. I know that when it comes to PJ Adebawore, there's a lot of people who are a little bit worried about Ohio State coming after him, but they got three dudes that they don't want to upset, and the two of them are lesser than PJ. PJ Adebawore, I think, is up to the number 7 recruit on one of the boards, but I think Etta might be a situation where they've upset him a little bit, and I got to think that if it wasn't the first or second time, it's who again. We think it's cold outside. I don't want to be playing in Michigan during the winter or any of that mess. So let's bring him on and let's add him into this defensive line because if a question may come up of, hey, listen, why do we need 6 defensive linemen? I'll tell you why, because that's why Clemson is Clemson. It's not that they've got 2 or 3 good dudes on the line. It's that they have got 6 or 7 good offensive linemen. And once people leave, the next guys step up, and they may not be, a 3 and out guy, 3 and done, but they may take that 4th year. And if you guys remember Frank Alexander, he was a guy that took him to his last year before he started to actually do something for the Oklahoma line.
It's true.
And RJ Washington, is that right? Washington. I'm going to go ahead and say just Washington. We've had a lot of those guys. And so I think that if you can give me a stable full of 6'2", 300, 6'5", 245, 6'5", 260, I'm all about that. Bring it on.
I'm sold on that. And that's exactly what I would love to have is all that size and length is disruptive and it works. Go look at the Bosa brothers. So Coop, as usual, thank you for pulling up. Thank you for giving us some of those additional thoughts. Folks, hit the comment section. Let us know your thoughts on all these crystal ball future cast predictions from On 3 that we put in there. Who I know y'all all want all of them. They're Pokemon. You got to catch them all. But it's not realistic. So if you had to pick 3, who's the 3 that you want to actually 2. If you can only pick 2, who's the 2 that you think that you would want? So jump in the comments. Hopefully I see 2 comments out of you. One from the beginning of the show, one from the end of the show. Let us know what your thoughts are on that. As well as if you're new to the channel, hit the like, subscribe button, as well as the bell notification. We're dropping a lot of stuff. We're putting out a lot of recruiting content. Goal is to get to 3,000 subs by the end of December. So please tell a friend, share. Why? Because sharing is caring. And so with that, we will chop it up with y'all a few hours probably or another day or 2. If not before then, y'all have a happy Thanksgiving and talk to you later. Peace.